Hi, it's Martin Gibbons again, and we're talking about how to hire today, and we're looking at how to use a personality report in an interview. Now, you've hopefully by now at least read your own personality report from People Maps, and you've got a fair idea of how it works. But very quickly, let me recap. When you register with People Maps, you get a control room. Within that control room, you have a library for recruitment topics. And the recruitment topics, I think there are about 40 topics in there, and each one deals with a different aspect of human behaviour. When you're designing your personality reports, therefore, when you go to interview someone, you should know specifically what job role you're thinking about, so you should have that clear in advance, and then keep that in mind when you go to the library to actually design the report that you want. So I recommend usually about 5 topics is more than enough for any interview, because each topic goes into a lot of detail. So what would a topic cover and what would it tell me? Well, let me use an example to help illustrate. If I was hiring, let's say, a sales person, right, someone who's going to be field-based sales, so they're going to be out there going to be doing things, then I would look through the library and you will see that there's a whole subcategory. Click on the design a new report, then click on the recruitment library, and you will see within that there's a whole subcategory dedicated towards sales. And I would look through those topics. I think there's over a dozen topics in there, and I would be looking for the ones that speak out to me. So it talks about sales style, it talks about appointment making and keeping, it talks about those kind of issues. So right away you can easily find topics that are absolutely pertinent and relevant to a sales role. So if you're hiring a salesperson, then it's really easy. You can simply go and find those topics and assemble the ones that stand out and seem to be most relevant and important to you, and use them to create the report that you'll then use. Okay, so you've now got your report. Your candidate has filled in the questionnaire at some point. You've now printed off the report, and you can walk in to the interview with your report in hand. Now, you don't need to go on a great big training course. You don't need to understand this map behind me here, all the psychology or anything else. You may wish to, and we do provide more in-depth training for those people who are absolutely want to go deeper. But you literally could print that report off, walk into an interview, and what the report will do will guide you through the interview. It keeps you on track, talking about the most revealing and pertinent things that you need to know in the space of half an hour or an hour about that candidate relating to that role. The trouble that we tend to see in interviews is that they tend to wander off course. They tend to talk about general wide things, and they tend not to reveal enough about the information that we really need to know. So each report comes with questions to ask the candidate. So it will actually say, this is one of the things you should ask. And it will be something specific to explore about that candidate's personality. Similarly, you'll be given another statement which basically tells you this is the kind of thing you should be hearing from this particular candidate. So you get a feel for if they're aware of this situation or the scenario, and if it's making sense, if it's ringing true to you. So the report itself will tell you not only about the candidate, but about the candidate for a specific thing. So for instance, maybe cold calling. So say cold calling is a big part of this job, then you want to know not just can they do it, can they not do it, but how do they approach it? What are the issues? Are they going to be challenged in it? In what way will they be challenged? And can you talk about it? Maybe they've overcome some of these challenges. Maybe they've been challenged about it, but they've actually developed over experience some coping mechanisms. And that's the stuff you want to hear about. You want them to be able to say, yeah, cold calling, everybody finds, I find cold calling quite difficult, but here's how I have dealt with that in previous lines. Here's my coping mechanisms. Here's how I overcome these challenges. Because no matter what the job, everybody's going to have some specific challenges within that role, personal ones, human stuff. And therefore, you want to understand not if they've got it or don't have it, but if they've got it and have developed coping and compensating methods to deal with it, and therefore not let it hold them back. So the personality report itself, it's an absolute fantastic thing for any interview. You can take that into an interview, even if you know very little about interviewing people, and conduct an incredibly meaningful and relevant interview. And that's what it comes down to. So the personality spectrum here, as I say, normally I recommend that you would add the map to the reports that you design. It's up to you, of course, you decide. But once you start to get more and more familiar with the map, then you can start to see, and it helps you communicate with people. So when you've got 20 reports in front of you, it's helpful to know, well, this person's in the north or this person's in the south. And this starts to give you some framework, some language that you can use to help understand not just all the skills and the experience, but also the personality. And that will become increasingly important as you understand more and more how to interpret and understand and use personality, and how their personality is having a huge impact on their ability and their success within the job role itself. So again, I urge you to become familiar with the map. There is advanced training in the licensed practitioner course that explains the map in great detail, and explains about the trees and the mountains and the pentacle and the ellipse, all the lake and all that sort of stuff. Everything on the map, nothing is accidental. Sure, it looks quite friendly and light, but it's extremely powerful. It's an extremely powerful tool. And over time, you can learn more and more about what the map does and how you can use it when you're making some really big decisions. Some of the biggest, most expensive decisions you will ever make will be recruitment decisions. And the map can become one of your most powerful tools as you learn how to use it. But right now, right here today, with knowing nothing, print off the report, take it into an interview, and you can conduct the world's most meaningful interview. Okay, I'm Arthur Gibbons. This is People Apps, helping you to make really good hiring, recruitment, and staff development decisions.